Flashback.
Well, since we're ready to get started on the Impreza project, I thought I would assess the car, see how it's doing, considering it's been sitting in my driveway for about 6 months. It's still there, a little lonely in the corner here, but I figure we try to turn it over, maybe even get out of its spot, just in preparation for getting it to the shop tomorrow. And if my calculations are correct, there's no chance this battery's still alive. Nope. So we got to kick it over. If you're anything like me and you have 5 or 6 cars at a time, this is one of the best things you can get, a little portable jump start pack, and it should be enough to turn this car over, hopefully, otherwise we have bigger issues. Perfect, start right up after 6 months of sitting. You know what they say, Subarus never die until they do, but then they start right back up. So, kind of leads me to my next thing. Once I've taken her around, I'm gonna start going in my basement and picking through all of the stuff that I've collected over this last 6 months. There's a ton of exterior stuff, some performance things, some things that are gonna need to get adapted to work on that car, but they've been filling my basement for half a year. I think it's time to get them out, get them to the shop along with the car, and get started on this build. There's the very first part, the 2.5 RS hood with vents, scoop. It's gonna look a lot better than the dented L hood that I have on that Impreza. The rest of the stuff is down there in the basement. I will just give you a quick tour, get it all out, and then, like I mentioned, get it to the shop on my trailer, and then we'll go through each individual thing, what I've got, what I still need, and then eventually we get to the point of actually swapping it onto the car, which is the exciting part. But let's start here. All right, welcome to where all the action happens when it comes to modifying my cars. This is where a lot of the parts for my projects end up. I've got a big parts pile right here. These are things I've been collecting for months and months that are gonna go on that car as well. So I will be unboxing those soon. In this room, a bunch of body parts. I see some fenders, trunk, some doors that are not quite as rusty as the ones that are on the car currently, and of course bumpers that are going to replace the really boring Impreza L bumpers. The one place I wanted to show you beyond that is the workshop. This is something I built up in the spring just so I can work on this and other projects, but kind of a shop away from the shop. We're gonna get most of the stuff done at GrimmSpeed, but there are lots of things, lots of capabilities that I have here that I'm able to do at home and just bring them and put them on the car eventually. First step is gonna be going through some of this stuff, dragging it upstairs and getting it on the trailer. And the next couple of clips, you'll see me at the shop unloading it all. That's when I'm gonna go through things individually, show you exactly what we've got, what we still need, and then we'll take it from there. So it took a while to get all those parts out of my basement, but I got them loaded up on the trailer, hooked up to the truck, and now we are at the brand new, gorgeous GrimmSpeed marketing bay, nice new floors, paint on the walls, an extra lift where we're gonna be doing this project, and my team was awesome enough to help me unload all the stuff. So what I wanna do is go through the piles of things that we have so you guys get familiar with where we're going with this project. You already have a bit of an idea what I'm gonna be doing with this. Now you get to see all the parts that are gonna be going on it in the next 2 to 3 months. Let's just start over here. We've got fenders, wide body 22B style fenders, both front and rear. These are unpackaged yet, but they are Duraflex. They were the cheapo ones, which I assume is gonna mean that we're gonna have to massage them to fit, or really do some major body work from my experience with Duraflex stuff. Back here we have some OEM pieces, a wingless trunk. The trunk on the Impreza is pretty messed up and rusty, so this will be good to put on. And then a 2.5 RS hood, obviously looks a lot better than the dented L hood. It's got the factory vents and scoop. It looks awesome. And on that, we're gonna stick these arrow catches. If you guys have seen my builds, you know I love arrow catches, so that will definitely be getting them. And then some OEM JDM parts right here. The rear bumper with JDM spats, these side skirt pieces along with the 2.5 RS side skirts, which were a bit of a hard find. In truth, a lot of this stuff was a hard find. And over here, we've got the 2.5 RS bumper, some fog light covers, a lip that is gonna need some love that I got for free. Of course, you gotta put rally armor mud flaps on any winter rally style build, so that's gonna go on. I managed to snag a GrimmSpeed muffler for one of our exhausts, so that's gonna get adapted as well. A couple doors, again, to replace the ugly rusted ones on that Impreza, and probably the biggest thing I'm excited about for no particular reason whatsoever is a rally roof scoop. I've never had one of these and I'm about to. And we're gonna get a little creative on how we mount this and what's gonna go underneath the channel to air it. So, awesome exterior stuff, and this is really gonna transform that car into something a lot more special than what it looks like now. What I really want to do with the engine is squeeze a little bit more power out of that 2.2, which is hard to do without significantly changing that motor. So what a lot of guys do is they'll go to 25D heads just like this out of older Outbacks and Foresters and add a little baby turbo like this TD04 out of a WRX. So I managed to snag this stuff from the junkyard along with the proper intake manifold. I've got an exhaust manifold over there. So hopefully we can make this hybrid build work without too much trouble. There's a lot of people that have done it already, but it isn't as easy as just bolting stuff up. Some of the easier stuff, like the GrimmSpeed top mount intercooler, should bolt in pretty closely. We'll probably have to do some slight modifications to the manifold or how they connect. And all these other GrimmSpeed pieces are gonna require some love to get them in. Down here, we have some miscellaneous pipe that we're gonna be forming an exhaust out of. And here, just a bunch of parts. You can see some GrimmSpeed exhaust hangers. You can see a turbo inlet that we're gonna try and adapt. So a bunch of little stuff that hopefully comes together without a lot of headache and forms a more powerful than stock engine at the end of it. So this little pile we'll call wheels and suspension. First and foremost, we see a turbo subframe. I got that out of a WRX at the junkyard. Basically, it has a provision to be able to mount the up pipe in, and we won't have to modify the OEM subframe. Over here, we've got struts from a 04 Forester, so we're gonna lift the car a little bit. There's still lots of suspension. I need like trailing arms and lateral links to make it all work and get the height dynamics right, but that's just one trip to the junkyard. We'll be able to get everything else. These are a bit lower mileage, so I snagged them for cheap, and they're a good setup. Over here, we've got arguably one of my favorite OEM wheels. It's the 2.5 RS Impreza wheels. Unlike the L Steelies that are horrible and rusted on that and looking like they're about ready to fall apart, these with a little love and some paint are gonna clean up really nicely, and some new tires, obviously, so we can really dig into the snow and enjoy the winter driving of this vehicle. And then over here, miscellaneous brake parts, some StopTech hard lines and things, pads that we're gonna be putting in the car to also make it stop as good as it goes, hopefully, if everything goes to plan with that engine. Over here, a very small pile of interior parts, and there's a reason for that, because we are completely stripping this interior, as I mentioned. So there's a harness bar, there's some Takata harnesses, some seat mounts for some race seats. That's one thing that's missing right now that I still have to source. And then a couple little miscellaneous battery box, strut bar, all those things that are gonna go in it. Mostly though, it's gonna be a bit of a race car experience in that car, which is exactly what I'm going for. Spending as little as possible and having the most enjoyment at the end of this as possible. And so far with these piles, I think we're headed in the right direction.
End of flashback.
Right now, I've started tearing out the rest of the interior, so you're gonna see me do that. And then eventually, we're gonna get to the sound deadening. You can see I've started just crumbling a couple pieces apart here. Some of this is gonna require dry ice to get up, so I think it's gonna be a fun thing. And then at the end of it, we're gonna weigh it all out, see how much more weight we've lost off this. Obviously, the name of the game here is as many pounds as we can take off this car, the better. And so we'll continue doing that. As you can see, I've been busy starting to strip down the bay. I started with the largest things first, which is the AC pump and condenser and all the lines. I've got it in a nice pile over here. Now I'm moving on to things like this intake piping and filter system that we're not gonna need. I see a cruise control module that we're gonna take out and some of these extra lines. So basically it's pulling all the unnecessary stuff out of here. Again, the whole theme is kind of race car, so we don't need AC, we don't need cruise control, we don't need a lot of the stuff under here. And out of curiosity, I just wanted to see how much weight we are shedding with the largest item, and that's all of those AC components. So I'll zero out the scale that I happen to have. I'm guessing we've got about 20 pounds or so of metal here. Yeah, 23, almost 24 pounds just in things that we don't need. That didn't work anyway. All of the Freon, aside from some of this residue, was gone, so it didn't work. We deleted it. It's gonna look cleaner. I'm gonna keep going. Eventually, this engine bay is gonna be unrecognizable, mark my words. Another thing I'm doing as I'm going through the engine bay is using this red paint pen to mark things that we're gonna delete. So I'm gonna be shaving the manifold, which means getting rid of these little things. Some of these brackets I'm gonna be getting rid of and downsizing, especially now that I don't have the AC unit in. So is it gonna take a significant amount of weight off? Probably not, but it will look a lot cleaner under here. It's just that extra step that I think is well worth it. Look at that, official. 93L1 Subaru Impreza Duraflex. Hold on. Let's cut that part out.
Definitely legit.
Two-door 22B, 22B rear fenders, two-piece. That's how you know it's legitimate.
Oh my
It just keeps going.
Is this? That ain't right.
That's not right. We'll have to fix that. Oh no, there we go, fixed. So I mentioned one of the big reasons that I even started this build in the beginning is some of the nostalgia and just my love for these old chassis. That is a huge part of it. But the other big part is an inspiration I got from a car that you guys will probably be familiar with, which is Buckit Buckit. This thing is awesome. I'm sure you've seen it on his Instagram, his YouTube. If you've ever been to a Subi event, he brings this thing out and it's just immaculate. Now, this isn't exactly what this car is gonna turn out to be, but it is in some way gonna be a version of it. And with that in mind, we are gonna be dubbing this the GrimmSpeed Rust Buckit in honor of you, Buckit. So because we're in that mindset of making this something similar to the Buckit, we are gonna be wide bodying. As I mentioned, we have these panels. Now these are Duraflex, they were on the cheaper side. Remember, this is a budget build, so we had to keep it that way. And we know that they're gonna need some work. Right away, we can tell that it's not perfect. We can even mock one of these up and just see loosely how it's gonna fit. Okay, it's the same general shape, so that's good.
Just like that.
Oh yeah.
Free chassis.
Perfect. I gotta take a little time out to @Buckit for a little bit because I've seen a couple of his episodes where he put a similar wide body kit on and he made it look so hard. Look how easy it was. A couple of bits of tape and he's on there. That's solid. So Buckit, I don't know how you feel about this. I think we did about as good of a job as you did. The kind of budget-friendly thing we did with this that I want to highlight is we don't want it just to be a visually appealing scoop, we want it to be functional as well. So what I ended up finding is this little piece. This is actually a scoop, or vent I should say, meant for the side of an RV. What's really cool is it has this handle and you can pop this up and get venting either this way or this way, and it's a perfect fit for the inside of this. I think this is about 50 bucks from a local Minnesota company. So we're supporting local, we're not spending a lot of money, and we're making a visually awesome, functional, budget-friendly rally scoop. What I want to do now is, since we've kind of got the car coming together, stick the hood on, and there's a couple of things that I want to do. Pull off some of this heat stuff and a couple miscellaneous things like the latch. We won't need this since we're going to be running these little guys, arrow catches, which are some of my favorite parts to upgrade in terms of exterior stuff. And we got a very special box from Young Living Essential Oils filled with, any guesses? Another scoop, a little micro one. Now this is another shout out to Bucky's Buckit. If you look at his car, his passenger side has a little scoop where the vent usually is. So I got one of those in honor of him, and it's gonna mount right there. We got a little panel gap right here.
Just a little.
But the upside is that it's even all the way through. So you gotta look at the little things in life. I just want to pull these arrow catches out and mock them up kind of where they're gonna sit. It takes a little bit of time to actually install these properly, so I won't be doing it right now. But when I do, I will film it and show you guys exactly how to do these. I've probably installed 5 or 6 of these, and it takes a little bit of talent, but once you've done it right once, it's good. Really, it's finding the best place for them. I usually like to follow the body line, so maybe there, maybe over here, just on the corners out of the way.
I think if you tuck it on the inside of this body line,
Might be kind of cool. That's kind of how I have it on my
before the hood kind of goes
Forester.
up. Yeah.
That's pretty much how it's gonna look, and you guys are getting an idea now that this is very loosely coming together. Obviously, we talked about these panel gaps. We're joking around about it, but they're gonna get fixed. The duct tape and all that stuff. This Duraflex kit's gonna take some work. All this stuff is gonna take some work, but at least we know where things are going, how they're gonna look, all the little extras that are gonna make this car unique to this. And best of all, we're staying under that $5 grand budget. So we're doing all of the work ourselves. We're not gonna just drop it off at a shop for them to do it. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, as you can see. So we're gonna wrap this episode up. We're gonna start working. We're gonna film it. We're gonna include all that in the next episode, and we're gonna be building up from here. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please share our pages, our YouTube, our Instagram, our Facebook. Follow us, like this stuff, comment. We want to hear from you, especially if you're a GC owner. Tell us about your builds, your experiences, and if you like what we're doing. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode.